5-Minute Philosophy. I'm going to tell you a little bit about John Locke and his thinking about epistemology. This is from The Senses as the Basis of Knowledge, from an essay concerning human understanding. Let's start with a little bit of context. So you've probably heard of John Locke before. In fact, you probably have learned about him in every history class or U.S. government class that you have taken. He was an Enlightenment thinker that had a profound impact, or at least his ideas had a profound impact on the founding of the United States of America. He was committed to something called classic liberalism. Do not think of liberal and conservative in the terms that we do today. Think of classic liberalism in terms of that root word there, liberty. So his views on liberty and freedom are going to deeply influence early American history as well as modern America. He's famous for saying that humans have natural rights, and among those natural rights are life, liberty, and property. May sound familiar, was tweaked a little bit in the American Declaration of Independence for fear that people would demand actual property. We changed it to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Okay, so now that you remember that you know a little bit about John Locke already, we're going to talk about some of the things that he spoke about in terms of epistemology. That doesn't show up usually in your history classes or your government classes. So the state of the debate. We know that there are philosophers who are arguing about knowledge and the nature of knowledge. And one of the key pivot points of this debate is whether knowledge is innate or is it learned? Question being, do we have innate knowledge? Do we come prepackaged with knowledge? Or is it our experiences that lead us to acquire and learn knowledge? A quick recap so far. Plato defended innate ideas in Meno, and then would argue further for that with his theory of the forms. Aristotle, his student, like all good students, is going to challenge Plato, sorry for the typo there, and going to argue that it is through our experiences, through our nous, our intuition of repeated experience, that we actually acquire knowledge. Descartes, a rationalist, is going to turn back towards innate knowledge. He's going to refine and affirm that innateness with his thinking that is going to lead him to cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. He will then conclude on just kind of a pure rational basis some other things. We'll talk about those later, but he's again believing that his mind is already furnished with these ideas. Locke is going to challenge that rationalist claim of innate knowledge. So let's look at how he does that. First of all, it's important to note that he is an empiricist. If you are challenging innate knowledge, there's a good chance that you're going to be an empiricist. It doesn't have to be that way, but the two lines of thinking are pretty consistent. So he's going to challenge innateness by challenging this idea of universal assent. And this is what the innatists have used to argue that there must be something that we all know because we all agree on it. Think about mathematical principles, that there are certain mathematical principles that no matter who you are, where you are, when you are, they seem to hold true. Whether you like it or not, they are true and you can know them. Locke is going to say, yes, so what? Even if there is universal assent, there's a lot of people who never actually know those things. And he mentions, his words, not mine, idiots and children. Locke's then going to lay down his own account of how we come to knowledge of general propositions, things like mathematical principles that may exist out in the world, but not in our minds. He believes that we are like a tabula rasa. Experience is how we will acquire that knowledge. So, as a tabula rasa, our mind, the human mind, is like an empty cabinet, and it is experience that fills the cabinet with ideas. Locke is going to concede that the mind is doing something, right? It has capacities. It comes with innate capacities, but he's going to argue that this is very different from saying that the mind has innate knowledge. It's really different to say that a mind has a capacity versus actual knowledge. So think about this, right? The example that he uses. Paper can be written on by a pen. Right? So paper has the capacity to receive ink, but it doesn't come pre-written on. Not everything has the same capacity, right? Just like the mind does have a capacity for acquiring knowledge, a rock doesn't, right? So this is the framework that Locke is going to lay out, that Locke is going to put forward. So in summary, he's an empiricist who's going to challenge innate ideas and innate knowledge. He's going to propose this concept or this idea that the mind is a blank slate, or what he calls a tabula rasa, that has capacities but not actual knowledge. So what do you think about Locke? Come back to class with comprehension questions, criticism questions, and then contemplate how his thinking will impact your own. All right, thanks for watching.